Hello and welcome to Bitch That's My Kind of Worship, a podcast by and for radical hotties the world over. My name is Lucy DK, and I'm an artist and writer obsessed with building the new world. This podcast is here to guide my fellow revolutionaries as we step into a collective healing journey that centers truth, justice, and returning to our limitless power. I will share practices, guidance, and conversations to keep your internal fires lit so you can let the old world crumble without fear and step into creating the future you were born for. It is our duty to fight for our freedom, and it is our duty to win. Hey, hotties. Wherever this finds you, I hope it finds you well. Today, I wanted to speak about how if you're an activist, if you're a revolutionary, you have been gifted a very specific and special identity blueprint. And the reason for this is you have vision. You have vision of the way the world could be different. And actually, being here within this world, within this society, has always felt very infuriating and strange to you because you really understand that it doesn't have to be this way. Like, you see that there's a different way things can be, and you become frustrated when you don't understand why other people who are so entrenched in this world don't have the same vision you have. They can't see that it could be different. They're just so used to this way and the way this world is, and they believe that's just, how it's always been and how it will be. But you actually came in with a different blueprint, a different sense of who you are, which gives you a vision of, wait, like, it doesn't have to be this way. The world could look so different. And so, something that will be very crucial to your path is keeping that vision lit and alight despite the ways that other people will try and cloud that vision and restrict that vision and limit that vision and make you think that that vision is unrealistic and impossible and utopian. One of your most important tasks actually on this journey and on this path is to hold tight to your vision. And holding tight to your vision is something that is completely different to holding tight to your belief system. Because I actually think the belief systems are one of our biggest corrections as activists. And what I mean by this is that the activist blueprint, the activist identity, we can become so attached to our belief systems, to our ideologies, that we become actually blind to what is possible. We become our own wound in a way where we think we're so right and we're so righteous. And because we know our vision is pure, we then start building all these beliefs around this vision of, okay, well, then this is what's right and this is what's wrong and this is how things should be. And if you don't think this way, you're a terrible person. And we completely miss that other people are born into completely different blueprints and, of course, would not see what we see. But the danger of this is either that we let our vision go, right? And we just become in the way of the world and we start just ascribing to the status quo and we lose our identity and we drain ourselves and we just start, moving and working in that way because we believe, okay, that's just, that's what I have to do. Or we become so entrenched in our belief system that we separate ourselves from everybody that doesn't ascribe to that belief system. And we believe that there's only one way to bring about our vision. And so everything that doesn't fall into that gets pushed aside and we discard it and we believe it's not important. And anybody that doesn't walk in the way that we are demanding they walk, we discard them and we say they're not important and we undermine who they are. And so I think one of the biggest, most important things on this path as a healing revolutionary is to hold tight to your vision, because your vision for a better world, a new world, a different world is pure and it came from a pure place of truth. Holding tight to that, but also being prepared to let go of your belief system and being prepared to unwind and also connect with others and see that you're not actually separate. So I think that's the first thing that is really important to say about this identity, about this blueprint. Another thing that is really crucial is that when you are an activist, it's really, really easy to believe that everything that you need is in the material world. And what I mean by this is we're so action oriented and we're so focused on the things that are wrong in the here and now, that we often actually really under index on elements of the unseen or elements of the world which we cannot touch and feel in the instant that we're doing that, right? And so things like spirituality can often become lost in the way that we're moving. And what's really interesting about this, I think, especially when we look at our own lineages of activists, is that we see really, really beautiful examples of the most powerful revolutionaries being people who led with spirit. And I don't mean religion, right? Like, I don't mean that to be a powerful, active revolutionary, you have to believe in God in the traditional way or be a part of a specific religion or do everything in the name of God. Like, it's not that. But what I'm saying is that the most powerful revolutionaries are steeped in an ethic of love, are steeped in light and that searing truth and that searing justice, that when you feel it, when you touch it, when you hear them speak and you feel their presence, you feel spirit and you feel that power. And what is really interesting is that when we divorce ourselves from that, and often it's not that we've divorced ourselves, by the way, we've been severed very intentionally from the power of spirit. We've been cut off from our lineages, which were so, so connected to spirit, to limit our power. But what has happened in that transition is that actually now the way we approach action is so materially oriented and so stuck in a very practical way of doing things that we really, really limit the impact of what we can actually create. And a good example of this would be it's like when you bake something without raising flour in it. I'm coming out with the most crazy analogies lately that just really came out of my mouth. I'm like, wow, wow. What did I just say? But it's basically, when you have like a self-raising flour in a cake that you're baking, and so the cake is going to rise and it's going to look really amazing and fluffy and like delicious, and you can't wait to eat this big cake, right? Versus when you forget to put in the self-raising flour or the bicarbonate of soda or whatever it is that you need to make that cake rise. You forget to put that in, and then you open the oven an hour later, and yes, there's a cake, but it's very flat and it is just like not lived up to its potential at all. That is like trying to stage a revolution without spirit. It's like you think you have the parts and you have the strategy, but you don't have the fire, you don't have the energy, you don't have anything that you need to really sustain that fight. And so people are going to be hungry within a very short period of time because all they have to rely on is their physical body. And what is really interesting when we think about spirit and we think about the body itself is that there are multiple bodies. We have our physical body, we have our emotional body, we have our mental body, we have our spiritual body, our astral body. These are different parts of us. And I think we know that in a certain way. And we often interact with a couple, but we often really under index on some. So, for example, somebody might be really great at like processing their emotions, and they, that friend that's always like, oh, I really like know that I felt sad about this, and I really sat with that sadness, and like I talked to my therapist, and like they're great at doing that. But they literally never leave the house and they never do any exercise and they're constantly doom scrolling on their phone and they completely neglect their physical body, right? And so it's like, well, okay, you're processing your emotion, but you're also not letting anything move through. Your body is undernourished and under exercise, like you're not moving at all. Of course, like you're not going to be at your peak. You're not going to feel great. And also vice versa, right? Those friends that completely hit the gym massively, are so strong, are so fit, could outrun anyone, but they absolutely do not want to sit with their childhood wounds and actually face how their father made them feel, right? And we all often under index on one or the other within our own healing journey. But I think for spiritual revolutionaries, for healing revolutionaries, our blueprint as activists and revolutionaries in general, as a collective, is often that we under index on spirit overall. Like, we're very, very good at the practical, at the action oriented, at the like show up at this time, at the mental. We over index on mental, by the way, to a huge extent. We're academic, we know the theory, we know the history, we have the facts, and these things are all super, super important. But we are so disconnected from spirit. We fear spirit. We discard it. We believe that it's a distraction from our path. And it's like the final key. It's like we have the facts now. We have the physical strength. We definitely have the numbers. Like we 100% have the numbers, right? So if you look at actually what's going on in the world, we have the numbers. But we don't have the spirit. We do not have the belief that it's possible. We do not have the power to overcome our own contraction, our own limitation, right? That we've taken on, that we've been conditioned with, that we've ancestrally held for so many generations. And so actually now our role, our job is to come back into this path of healing that leads us back to this powerful fire that is within each of us. So I think that's really important to think about collectively. And then something that I love about this blueprint, something that I just absolutely find delicious about this identity of being a revolutionary on a healing journey, is that we actually just have so much community. We have so many people around us, and we have so much opportunity to heal collectively. And this is one of the most powerful ways to heal, is to heal together. And so actually a big part of what we have to overcome is this fear of being seen in healing, or being seen to do something that can often feel a little bit selfish, or can feel like it's taking me off a collective path. And what we have the opportunity to do is to explore it together, and to do that within community, and to form our own communities around the different healing that we're experiencing and that we're embarking upon and that we're doing together. And so a big part of that is actually also allowing yourself to shake up the places that you are in the world and the communities that you're part of, and understand that your life is something that allows you to move a little bit more than you have been. And what I mean by this is that as revolutionaries, we are renegades. Like, we are people who want to see a lot of things, who want to move around, learn from a lot of different people. And often our belief systems, our contracted belief systems, actually hold us really, really tight in one place, because we believe that's where, A, we're safe. These are my people. We believe the same things. They'll keep me safe. We think the same way. But also, we believe that going out and being in different spaces is dangerous, because we've learned that, right? Like, we've learned, like, these people don't see me, these people don't respect me, these people don't XYZ. And all of these things have basis in truth. But what is possible for us is actually to move through a lot of that resistance and find ourselves in places we would not expect, and find new clues, new discoveries, new enlightenment along the way. And I don't necessarily mean physically moving, by the way, although that's very possible and that's been a big part of my path. But it's about understanding that there is flexibility in the way that you move through the world. And maybe you've been very, very stuck on being in a specific place and a specific way of thinking and a specific way of living your life. And maybe there is more flexibility open to you and available to you than you initially thought. And a lot of us on this journey are creative. A lot of us are artists, and the artist way is different, right? And we have to understand that as revolutionaries, we're often observers, we're often on the outside, we're often seeing the system. And often this really manifests in the beginning as a sense of, I don't belong. I'm on the outside, nobody sees me, nobody gets me, like I'm out on my own, I have to define myself for myself, like nobody is validating who I am or truly understands who I am. And that's part of it, that's part of the path, and that's just a necessary part of the experience so that you really get to learn who you are. But there will come a time where you actually have to move out of isolation and back into connection with people you never thought you would be able to connect with, right? And that becomes a big part of the healing journey too. It's actually about coming into learning oneness, learning that we are all part of a collective whole, and learning that the revolution is actually for everyone. And we say that, but often we don't mean it. Often we mean my revolution is for my community and about freeing me and my people. And actually what we mean is I want to get my own back. I want these people who hurt me and my community to know that they were wrong. Like I want freedom and wealth and all these things. And that is for me and my community. And that's what I really want, versus actually understanding we are we are not free until everybody is free. And the way that we can truly work for and move towards and create collective freedom is by learning how to love our enemies, which is something I will speak about in another episode as well, because it's crucial. But until we learn that we are not outsiders and that we can truly be in connection, then we are going to be someone who always has a sense of separation, who feels like nobody gets them, etc., etc., etc. And it's important to hold space for both realities, which is the renegade, rebel, beautiful identity, right? That is this like creative, you strike out your own way, you walk your own path, like that is part of you and that is a part of your essence, and it's beautiful. But holding space for that, and then also holding space for the fact that there are many like you, that you are part of a lineage in yourself, in itself, and that also you can connect to people who are not like you, who are so far from you. And in doing so, you can realize that truly you come from the same heart, that you have the same love, that you have the same compassion, that you have the same truth if you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you make it your mission to find that and to find that discovery and that clue and that thing that will lead you through that healing and will lead them through that healing as you walk through that healing together. So those are some really important and beautiful parts of having this identity. I would love to hear from you as well if you feel like you are a revolutionary who is on a healing journey, if you feel like you have the activist blueprint, if you feel like you're somebody who's on a journey of reconnecting with spirit because you know it's spirit that will bring about a collective liberation, if you know that that is the path that you have been called on. I would love to know that. I would love to know what that identity has looked like for you and why you love that identity or why you find it so hard to have that identity, because I think it's a really, really specific blueprint. And I think the more that we can share with each other what it's been like for us on this path, the more clues we're all going to get as to how to walk this more smoothly with less struggle and more complete ease and beauty and radiance. So we're having that conversation on the Radical Hotties Substack. So jump over there if you would like to join us in that conversation. But for now, I'll leave it there. And I'm really excited to speak more soon about how the journey of this blueprint really manifests, because there's a very specific set of stages that usually we go through when we have this blueprint. And I think when you have a consciousness of what those stages are, it's much easier to walk that path, knowing that there are stages ahead and you're not just stuck, you know? Like it's not like, oh, I'm here and it's going to be like this forever. It's like, no, like keep going. There's just a little bit further. There's a little bit more that you can jump into. And then when you do, you'll see a whole new stage open up, and you'll start to feel just the joy and the excitement and the pleasure of everything that's available to you as part of this path and as part of this journey. So it's been beautiful to speak to you today. I can feel your energy all over wherever you are. I feel it already as I'm making this transmission. And I'm wishing you just the most beautiful day and continue to stay hot. You've been listening to Bitch, That's My Kind of Worship, and you can follow Radical Hotties on Substack for more where that came from. See you next time.